This is part 3 of free agent predictions. If you have not watched number 1 or number 2, definitely go watch those videos real quick and then jump back to this one. What is up, everybody? It is Jason from Jason Sports Clips, back with another video today. And you've already seen the thumbnail, you've already seen the title on the screen, all that blah blah blah. We're talking about the wide receivers and the tight ends of the free agency predictions. If you've watched the other videos, the first one and the second one, you already know the rules. Yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so before I get into the video, I do want to say that the tight end free agency class is not that good. And also, one of my players, Hunter Henry, was in my top 5 and he just got signed to the Patriots again. So I'm recording this Friday night. So if anything does happen after this video or before this video comes out, don't blame me, okay? Alright, so there's only going to be 4 tight ends. Like I said, the tight ends are not that good. Starting off with Noah Fant. He was with the Seahawks. He was a part of the Broncos and Seahawks trade with Russell Wilson. The worst trade in NFL history, basically. He's only 26 years old. He's still pretty young, and his grades were okay last year, 62.9. He had 2 drops, which is actually not that bad. So more of like a blocking tight end. And the team I think he should go to is the Los Angeles Chargers, and Chargers. I'm sorry, I butchered that. I do think that the Chargers are going to need a tight end, even though they just lost Gerald Everett. Well, most likely lost him in free agency, and their tight end group is not that good. They might end up drafting Brock Bowers in like the number 5, number 6 pick or something like that. But I can see them getting another veteran for their tight end group. So Noah Fant to the Chargers. Moving on to our next player. Speaking of Gerald Everett, we're going to be talking about Gerald Everett. Basically the second best tight end in the free agent class. He had a 65.6 grade last year with a couple of touchdowns, a couple of drops as well, just like Noah Fant. And I think he's a pretty solid player, 29 years old, so he's still got a couple more years left in him. And I think that the team that he should go to is the Cincinnati Bengals. And I'm looking at the Cincinnati Bengals roster right now, and basically Irv Smith Jr. is probably their number 1 tight end. Like, their tight end group is really, really bad. And I know they might end up signing Gerald Everett to a cheaper deal than normal. The Bengals offense is going to be really, really good next year once Joe Burrow is finally healthy. So I think that Gerald Everett should go to the Cincinnati Bengals. Moving on to the next player, Colby Parkinson, the player I've never even heard of, but he was also with the Seattle Seahawks. And remember, just like my other videos, these free agents I'm predicting, they're not going to re-sign with the team. So the Seattle Seahawks are going to be losing 2 tight ends in my prediction. But this is basically, like I said, the tight end, free agent class is just not good. 57.4 grade. He did have a couple of touchdowns and 247 receiving yards. I guess he's more considered of a blocking tight end. If the team he should go to, well, I think he should go to, is the Tennessee Titans. I almost forgot who I picked. Just like the other 2 teams, the tight end group for the Titans is not good at all. And I think that, the Titans are not going to be sort of kind of in the rebuilding mode next year. And I think they could get a solid little tight end like this, for a cheaper deal to kind of boost up the rebuild, I guess you can say. So he's going to the Titans. All right, so if I had to be honest, I was looking at my other tight end I had on my sheet, and it made no sense to even do a prediction because of the Hunter Henry signing. So I'm just going to completely skip over that. We only had 3 tight ends, which is really bad. But starting off with the wide receivers, we got Marquise Brown, also known as Hollywood Brown. He had a little bit of downgrade last year, 61.1 overall grade. He had a couple of touchdowns, but he was also with the Cardinals and Kyler Murray, who even played like half the year. I think the best team he should go to, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs. And now they just released Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and they have Rashee Rice and a couple of smaller good weapons on the Kansas City Chiefs. But the Chiefs are always going to sign like the better players on the market, probably for like $100,000 because the Chiefs freaking are the Chiefs. But I really do think that Hollywood Brown is a good fit over there, and I think he can kind of reboot his career with Patrick Mahomes. The next wide receiver we're going to be talking about is Calvin Ridley. He's 29 years old, and after being suspended for a whole year, a couple years ago, he came back last year and had a pretty decent year. 1,000 yards receiving, 8 touchdowns, and I'm pretty sure he even missed a couple of games. So I thought he did pretty well. And a team I think he should go to is back to his former teams, the Atlanta Falcons. And if you watch my other couple videos, I do have the Falcons going completely all out this year in free agency class. So like, just give me a little break here. But I think it's perfect for him too because he's going back to his team or his former team. You know, he's alongside with Drake London. Depending on the quarterback over there, you know, it's probably going to be a good quarterback. And the Falcons are going to be a serious team next year with their new head coach. I can't think of his name on top of my head, but I think that Calvin Ridley should go back to the team. So Falcons for him. All right, so Darnell Mooney is the #3 ranked wide receiver in the free agent class, and last year he really had a down year. The couple of years ago, he was actually a really decent #2, maybe #3 wide receiver for the Bears, but last year was just not his year. A 55.2 overall grade, only 1 touchdown and 400 yards. Now, he was a little bit banged up last year, but I'm actually still surprised that the Bears have not re-signed him yet. But the team I think he's going to is also the Cincinnati Bengals. And now it makes sense because they're most likely going to lose Tyler Boyd. As of right now, he's still a projected free agent. And T. Higgins is still up in the air. They just franchise tagged him, but we don't know yet if they're actually going to trade him or not. And of course, Jamar Chase is the #1 target, but they're #2. I'm looking at their wide receivers, and I really can't, I don't know any of them. So I think Darnell Mooney will go to the Bengals. And also, the Bengals do have a lot of money to spend this year, so it does make sense. Gabe Davis will be a free agent this year. The Bills are definitely not going to end up re-signing him because the Bills are broke and they just had a complete release party of their defense. And he was actually not that bad last year with 7 touchdowns, 746 receiving yards, an overall grade of a 67.9. He's 24 years old. Well, basically 25. He's turning 25 in April. So he's still really young, and he's a bigger receiver, more of like a Devontae Adams type player. He's gonna jump for the ball, bigger built by. But I do think that, the best fit for him will be the Houston Texans. Now, they do have Nico Collins. They do have Tank Dell that he should be coming back from his injury, but they need a bigger guy. And Nico Collins is relatively a bigger guy, but if they can get a #3 wide receiver, Gabe Davis, Tank Dell, and Nico Collins, along with CJ Stroud, this offense for the Texans is going to look really good. And remember, they also have a lot of money to spend. So I think he should go to Houston Texans. Now, believe it or not, Odell Beckham Jr. is the 5th best wide receiver available into the free agent class, even though it seemed like he was really washed up last year. But, when he actually was on the field, he actually wasn't that bad. The 76.2 grade, 500, only 565 yards and 3 touchdowns. But he wasn't really the #1. Actually, he probably wasn't even the #2 target on the Baltimore Ravens last year. He is only 31 years old, though. So it's like, he only has a couple more years left, maybe. And I think that the team he should go to is the New York Jets. And now, they already got Garrett Wilson as #1 wide receiver. But besides that, they got Allen Lazard, Alex Cobb. I can't even remember the other wide receivers, and Allen Lazard is washed up. Randall Cobb's washed up. They need a #2 wide receiver really bad. And they're probably gonna end up drafting an offensive lineman in the first round. But other than that, the Jets really do need #2 wide receiver. And I think that if Odell Beckham wants to get his numbers back up, possibly along Aaron Rodgers, I think that it's a really good fit for him. But that wraps up this video. If you do like it, hit that like button. Comment down below your reactions. I really want to see what you think of my crazy predictions. And yeah, that wraps up the video. I'm out of here. Deuces.